This video aims to give a definitive answer to whether the Mac Studio is worth it or not, in comparison to other alternatives such as the M1 Mac Mini or the M1 Max MacBook Pro lineups. Let's get started! For those who don't know, the Mac Studio with the M1 Max chip starts at $2,000, and of course it can go up from there. And the M1 Ultra Mac Studio, that's a difficult name to get used to, starts at $4,000, and of course you can upgrade the RAM, the chipsets, or the storage to increase the cost. A good thing about this computer, a great thing about this computer is that since it's a desktop, you can buy external storage for much cheaper than what Apple costs you. And also, it starts at 32 or even 64 gigabytes of RAM depending on the model you choose to begin with. So you don't have to spend extra money to upgrade the RAM for most people, as I think since Apple Silicon is so efficient with the RAM, and also I think 32 gigabytes is quite a bit considering I use an 8 gigabyte model to edit all of my videos with. The storage is also great. With your 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports on the back and 2 in the front, you can connect different storage options such as a SSD, a Thunderbolt drive, or just hard drives to your Mac Studio. I have a 8TB hard drive connected, which I use to edit my videos. Although SSDs are faster, you can get a lot of storage for really cheap with hard drives, and that is why I actually suggest you buy external SSDs or hard drives for these computers. Upgrading costs you quite a fortune, and of course, getting an 8TB internal hard drive is definitely better for your peripheral situation and for speeds overall. It's just more price effective to buy something that's external. This is a luxury that you cannot get with something like the M1 Max MacBook Pro because it has to be portable. It's a lot more difficult to bring around a 8TB, 16TB, or even a 32TB RAID drive with you wherever you go. And with SSDs, they're really expensive. So it's actually a lot more effective to just buy the 4TB or 8TB model of the M1 Max MacBook Pro. For here, you don't need to have the portability, so an external drive would be better. Speaking of the ports, the Mac Studio definitely beats out the Mac Mini. So if you were considering buying a Mac Mini, an M1 Mac Mini, or waiting to get an M1 Pro Mac Mini for your setup, I believe the Mac Studio is a lot better. For me, I have actually maxed out all of the ports that I have for my Mac Mini, and I have to add USB hubs onto USB hubs, which of course significantly lowers the bandwidth. When M1 was first released, a lot of people were going crazy about the performance, and remember, the M1 Max or M1 Ultra isn't a new chip here. One M1 Ultra is just 2 M1 Maxes stitched together, and one M1 Max is just 4 M1 chips stitched together. So the M1 chip is very competent, and you would definitely lose some power when combining chips. You don't get twice the performance from the M1 Pro compared to the M1, just like how you don't get 8 times the performance of an M1 chip from the M1 Ultra. It is faster, yes, but it's also a lot more expensive considering the M1 Mac Mini, getting it refurbished like I did, only costs you about $600, while a brand new M1 Max Mac Studio costs you $2,000. With that price, you can get almost 3 M1 Mac Minis, and yes, you're getting one more M1 chip, which is why it's actually a good deal. If you're not needing all that power, it's not necessary. I'm actually making a feature film right now, and that's why I'm not editing and making as many videos as before. Of course, once the film is done, I will release it and get back to making all of those videos. But I'm editing a full 2-hour-long feature film with a refurbished $600 M1 Mac Mini. I'm editing all of these videos on there too. This just goes to show how effective the M1 chip already is. It's fantastically fast, so consider to yourself, do you actually need a Mac Studio? If your answer is still yes, then I think the Mac Studio is definitely for you. For, say, $4,000, you're getting 8 M1 chips in one package, which you can connect to up to 4 Pro Display XDRs, as well as a 1 4K display. So that's 4 6K displays and 1 4K display. That is huge. For actual professionals who need this, nothing rivals the Mac Studio. I don't think you can build like an actual gaming PC for, say, $4,000 and beat the performance of the M1 Ultra. On stage, Apple said that the M1 Ultra chip is 60% faster than the Mac Pro with 24 CPU cores. And that 24 CPU cores costs you $6,000 alone as an upgrade. Or if you're just buying a base model Mac Pro with that chip, you're going to be spending 16,000 Canadian dollars or around 12,500 USD. You're getting you're getting 60% more performance out of a $4,000 computer. So yes, the Mac Studio is definitely worth it. But if you're not needing all those power, and you think an M1 chip could do it for you, you can get a lot more value just by simply going with something like a refurbished Mac Mini. Let me just talk about the name for the M1 Ultra for a second. It's quite odd as a name. Think about it. Apple went from the iPhone 6 to the iPhone 6 Plus, which is when they introduced the Plus naming. And when they released the iPhone XS Max, they changed the Plus to a Max because that's the largest it's ever been. And then they released the iPhone 11 Pro and the iPhone 11 Pro Max. So I suppose Pro is just underneath the Max. But now they're creating Ultra. And all of these names, so the M1 Pro, M1 Max, they came from the iPhone naming. So unless they're going to name the new iPhones the iPhone 14 Ultra, it doesn't make sense to have the name Ultra. And Samsung is already naming their phones Ultra. Like the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra or the Note 20 Ultra, that's already a name that Samsung is using. So I don't think Apple's going to use that. So it's quite an odd name. What's better than a Max? A Max is already the maximum you can get, right? How come when you put two maximums together, you get an Ultra? Think on that. Like the video, please. That's the end. Leave a comment if you know the answer, or you would have any questions to this video. If you liked everything, why not subscribe? And click something on the screen right now. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a good day. Why are you still here? Why are you still here? Alright, that's it.